Hey, what up, universe? It's the LDawg Show.
See the man who won't stay for your meal, getting all the piece of pie for your wife. Everybody wanna know how it feel. Everybody wanna see what it's like.
Are you hashtag blessed? It was put to me earlier this week that this whole idea of blessing has been spun around by our society to mean something different than what it actually does. And so I've been kind of mulling that over for the last little while and wanted to kind of talk to you a little bit about some of the things that I've come up with. In 1665, the town of Cambridge was shut down for 2 years. This is Cambridge, England. Was shut down for 2 years as a result of the bubonic plague. During that time, or just around that time, a gentleman by the name of Isaac Newton was a student and is just finishing up his studies at Trinity College at Cambridge. And like everybody else, he had to leave the city and go into self-isolation. And during that 2 years of self-isolation, Isaac Newton, legend has it, developed calculus, worked on the theory of gravity, the unified theory of gravity, and a whole bunch of other things. Recently, a lot of articles have been written about Newton and his productive plague, they call it, that some of them are accurate, some of them aren't, just like the whole idea of the apple falling on his head is a myth and everything else. But the point that's being made is that through this isolation, we can find blessing. But in order to do that, we have to understand what we mean by blessing. And we're not talking about, I just won the lottery, I'm so blessed. What we need to recognize is that in order to grasp the blessing of pandemic and isolation and everything else, we have to recognize that in order to build up, we have to first tear down. A construction site is a great mental image for something what I'm thinking about. When you go to a construction site, the first time you go there, before anything has really even been done, it looks like they're actually destroying the ground and the property before they start to do anything. They're scraping off topsoil, they're digging holes, laying gravel, all kinds of that stuff that doesn't actually look like they're building anything. It looks like they're actually tearing down. And what they're doing is they're preparing the ground. And they're preparing the area for the actual construction that's going to happen. So the first thing we have to recognize is that if we're going to be blessed in a situation like this, we have to take the time to prepare the surface to do it. Last week I battled a little bit of depression, probably for the first time in my entire professional life, because I was dealing with this notion of taking the time to build something up, but I didn't actually take the time to tear down and create a foundation to start with. So what I did is on Sunday, actually, after I started to think about these things, is I sat down and I created a new approach to how I'm going to do business over the next couple of months or years even, who knows, that is a framework for me to stay motivated during this time and beyond. And the first thing that I did is I said, okay, what are the tasks that I can do to control my world and the things that I can do on a daily basis that I have complete control over moving forward? That was the first thing. Essentially control what you can control. So I made a list of 10 daily tasks that will keep my mental health clear, my head clear, that will make me a better physically, because I go for a run every day, that's one of my tasks, and also will, if executed on a consistent basis, lead to the situation or the circumstances that should then result in achieving some of my goals. So I wrote down these 10 tasks that I do every day. I wrote down 3 goals for the day and 3 goals for the week that should grow out of whether or not I can complete these tasks. But the only thing I can control is the tasks themselves. I can't control the goals to that same level, because the goals are dependent on how people respond to how I operate. So I control the tasks, and I hope for the goals. Now, some people might be thinking, what happens if you don't complete the tasks? Well, quite frankly, if I don't do the 10 tasks on my list, I simply didn't do my job. I did not do my job for the day, and I need to either do better tomorrow, do more tomorrow, or rethink what my goals are, because I'm not going to hit them if I'm not completing those 10 tasks on a regular basis. But back to that idea of blessing. When we start to break down our life and prepare for the building that's going to come, we are truly blessed. It might not feel like it right off the top. It might be very difficult in the moment, but we are laying the groundwork for a change, which could very well be a great blessing in our lives. The Beatitudes in the Bible, where Jesus talks about blessed are the poor in spirit, blessed are the meek. The promise that follows is always very much this is going to happen for you if you accept kind of where you're at right now, and we can build on that. Isaac Newton's productive plague was really all about him taking control of the things that he could control, spending the time to do the research, do the thought process, do the writing that he couldn't necessarily have done in other circumstances. It's not that he was any smarter because he was isolated, or it's not that he had any more time because he was isolated. It was because he took the time while he was isolated to focus his activity on a few things that he could control. For a really good analysis of the myth versus the reality of Isaac Newton's productive plague, check out the New Yorker article that I'm going to link to in the below here, and give that a read, because it's a really good analysis of what that meant and what it means for us moving forward in this unprecedented time that we live in. And it's not actually all that unprecedented when we stop and think about it. So take the time, prepare the ground for the building, and get really clear on what it is you want to construct there, and this can be a great time of great blessing for a lot of people. So that's all I got for today. Again, a little bit disjointed. It's kind of the way I operate on here. I'm going to have to go and, as I say, always go and do some editing and make it coherent. But that's how I operate, as you should know by now. Hit the subscribe for more of these videos. I try to do them a couple of times a week. And go to my webpage as well for the more coherent writing, because I take some more time to clean stuff up and before I publish there. But this is what you get.